Welcome to the Bush League Huddle podcast. I'm your host for today's episode, Raj Emeka, alongside Fabio Fabcirelli and Anthony Nacarado. This is our milestone 10th episode. Thank you for all our loyal listeners, for the countless feedback, just for following us. And I know there's so many other podcasts that you guys can listen to. There's so many other NFL streams that you could spend your time on, and we really greatly appreciate all the feedback that we got. We were at our friend Nick's son's baptism this past Saturday, and some of his cousins who are born and bred Bostonians, like real football New England guys. Michael and I forgot his brother's name, but they came to see some of us, and they gave such glowing feedback, and it really touched me, knowing that in this space where we're trying to navigate two QBs, super flex, there's not that much content, and I really think that we're trying to carve out a new space from a content perspective. So, really happy that we're at our 10th episode. Regardless of where we take this, we're gonna keep going. I'm committed. I know Nak and Fab are committed to this as well. So, we also have a giveaway. We did a giveaway for our 10th episode. A beautiful Tom Brady Funko. Where do I have it? It's right here. So we're going to announce the winner at the end of the episode. And we're going to have a great episode. We're going to talk a little bit about some OTA news. We're going to talk a little bit about some coaches in new places, as well as some overvalued guys as well. But first, outside of this milestone episode, we have some other milestones. Fab, MBA.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
man.
Thank you. Yes. So in my spare time, I also go to school and get my MBA. Yes. Thank you very much.
You graduate with honors, and you were a valedictorian, right?
I graduated like by the skin of my teeth. I was happy just to walk across the stage and pick up that diploma and hug some random people I'm never going to see again in my life. But no, it was.
You never know.
No, I'll never see him again. But it was kind of cool. One of the people that were speaking at the convocation was Sheila Johnson, one of the co-creators of BET Network.
Nice.
Which I thought was really cool. We were able to snag someone
which stands for?
Can I say it? Oh yeah, it's explicit. Black Entertainment Network, Black Entertainment Television, Black Entertainment Television. Is that it?
What is so explicit about Black Entertainment?
I was going to say, why can't you use the word black?
You're gonna think of another word. Were you gonna call it net?
No.
NET? Is that what you're thinking?
No. Can we move on to the next topic? I'm feeling awkward right now. I'm feeling very uncomfortable. It's getting hot in here. Is it hot in here? Let me turn on the AC.
Speak
a little bit.
Go ahead. Go.
No, it was really cool that we had her speaking and everything like that, and what she did over life. I thought that was super interesting. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience for anybody out there who's looking to do their MBA, like real talk outside the pod and all that stuff. If you guys listen to the episode, you obviously know me on social media to a degree. So if you have any questions, reach out. But it was a wonderful experience, and it was really, really cool, and I'm happy to do it, and it was great, and I'm very happy that I did and got it done, and it's something that I can hang up on my wall, which you can't see, but it's over here, where I can look at every single day and just be proud of a little minor accomplishment in my life. So thank you, thanks for shouting out there.
We're very proud of you, Fab. You have a real MBA. I got one of those Fugazi MBAs online.
Roger, shut your damn mouth, okay? Stop it. You equally, we should be shouting you out as well. Stop.
No, absolutely not. No. Other milestones. Happy birthday to little beautiful Domenica. It was her birthday on the 7th, Saturday, right, Nick? So happy birthday.
No, the birthday was on Friday.
But her actual birthday is the 7th.
Yeah, on Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we had
happy birthday.
Little milestone, little 3-year-old running around now. Yeah. No, it was nice. Honestly, we did a little party yesterday for her. Just some family, which was really nice. Spent 3 hours prepping pizza doughs on Saturday, and then Sunday ended up making like 12 pizzas and a calzone, like just cooked for like 2 hours straight on that pizza. Yeah,
12 pizzas and one calzone. Who was that?
One of the calzone.
Yeah, me and my brother-in-law Denny, we just decided, we're like, oh, let's make a calzone. So we took like 2 doughs together. I made 2 doughs together, then we opened it up and we just put like everything inside. There was like one side was spread with nduja. I had tomato sauce in there. We had some sausage in there, some rapini in there, peppers, pepperoni. It was just like jam packed, and it actually came out like super good.
What's Induni?
Nduja.
Induya.
It's like a spicy sausage spread.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was very tasty. The first time I did these doughs, it didn't come out good. But the second time came out like really, really well. I went to buy like more fresh yeast, so it rose a lot better. And I used Bottega's recipe from the cookbook. So
Ooh, very nice.
Very
yeah, the
nice.
Cuba pizza came out honestly super, super good.
We need to
Everyone,
incorporate some type of cooking into this podcast, pizza and cooking at some point. That would be
100%,
awesome. Yeah,
hundred
totally
percent. But yeah, it was really, really nice.
amazing.
Although I'm exhausted.
I would be remiss if I didn't say also happy birthday to my son. It was his
Yes.
Yes,
birthday last week, so and he's still singing happy birthday. He still wants us to sing happy birthday, even though it's 6 days already. So I've tried to put an
we
end
still
to
have
that.
all the decorations up.
Party don't
Yeah,
stop, man.
it
Party
doesn't.
don't stop.
It never stops. And then we also have the NBA and NHL finals. We have the NHL finals. We're recording today at 8:25. I believe the puck has dropped already, or if it's not going to drop already, between the Oilers and the Panthers. That's game two. And then unfortunately for the NBA finals, we have looks like it might be a sweep. So I also got
I don't
I,
think so.
I got my Doncic Funko that. Our friends at Electric Avenue who also donated the Brady Funko. So I'm still rooting heavily for the Mavs, but it's looking like the Celtics are going to
Can
go through. So
I have a question for you,
yes.
basketball heads. More like I really don't watch, but obviously I follow because of you guys, and there's obviously news everywhere. But why is there a 3 day break after every game? Why?
So they want to line up, like it's pretty strategic from a rating standpoint.
Yeah.
They feel Wednesdays and Sundays are ideally the best days for finals. I was surprised that they didn't get Tuesday. Like I think tomorrow would have been fine, but I think if they do tomorrow, for sure they want the next game to be on a Sunday, and then that becomes like what, a 4 day break.
Yeah.
Like you don't want a finals game like on a Friday. People are out. Saturday people are out. Sunday is like actually really the best day. So that's typically
Uh,
why the NHL doesn't care about that, right? Like the NHL will just
No,
put
they
games
don't.
no,
whenever.
the only time they do 2 days is, and I think it's just for the finals. It's when they travel. When they go back home,
Yeah,
there's a 2 day break, and this one is actually the most important one to do so because you're going from Edmonton to Florida. So
Yeah, it's a big travel. Yep.
it's a
it's a big
really
travel.
big,
Yeah.
it's a long flight, right? So then
Well,
it makes sense to have a 2 day break. But NBA 3 day break for between every game. It's like it's
well,
so
Knack,
long. I find.
Like I
NBA
thought
finals
that too, but it's a rating perspective, right? Like they really want to maximize as much as possible, make sure it's not being cannibalized by any other finals
and
sport
media.
media.
Like it's 3 extra days to talk about. But Knack, and maybe last point on this. Finals used to be 2-3-2. So home team would have the first two games. Road team or team without home court advantage would have the next three.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
like to me that was horrible. Like because the home team if you go at that three straight games, like it's your series is
Yeah,
over,
I
right?
never
Yeah.
liked that
Yeah, I
that
was never a
format.
fan of
It's
that.
you're kind of penalizing the
You're
home team in a
penalizing.
way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, we'll see what happens with the NHL and NBA finals. But we still have some really interesting football news, and we're going to continue our OTA segment. First up, Jalen Hurts. So Mr. TushPush. He recently commented that the Eagles' offense is 95% new, and he didn't seem too thrilled with the changes. New offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who was OC with the Chargers last year and OC with the Cowboys the previous year before that, says we could probably expect to see Hurts under center. We'll probably see him under center more often, which isn't necessarily his strong suit. He's typically more under shotgun. Currently, the QB2 pre-draft rankings has Hurts as the unquestioned QB2, but he regressed as a passer in 2023 through 15 interceptions. His QB rating dropped from 101 to 89, and he only had 150 more passing yards despite nearly 100 more attempts. Given these factors, Knack, is Hurts still your QB2 heading into the season?
Yeah, so basically to touch on everything you kind of said, he did regress. He threw double the amount of INTs he threw from the year before, and you mentioned that he did have only 150 yards more passing. He did it with two extra games too, because he played two less the year before as well. So He should have been on pace for a lot more. So I don't know, like I don't know if regressed is maybe the right word, but he just didn't take it to another level. Basically, that I just think he was more uh like that tush push really helped him out in a fantasy perspective last year, right? Like those points came in handy. He was always kind of going in. Um, but I think, look, he still did finish last year. He was second, right? He still finished second overall in QBs last year for fantasy points. So maybe it didn't look pretty, but he still got to that point. Um, Look, I guess with Kellen Moore, with Kelsey retiring, I think it may be a little bit tougher to see him finish in that maybe QB2 range, especially with like Stroud, who's going to have his second year coming in. Burrow comes back if he's healthy. Uh, I even Lamar is still kind of there. So I don't know if I'm comfortable going number two, but like I don't think you're gonna drop him too far just because he's got that talent enough to be able to score points at will. So I wouldn't push him too far down if you're not happy with him at two.
Fab, what say you?
I mean, I don't disagree with anything that Nak said. I'm also very tepid to have my QB2. He's not my QB2. If I'm drafting, if I have to look for a QB at second overall, it's not going to be Jalen Hurts. You have to figure that a lot of his fantasy points relied on the tush push. Like the guy had what, like 30 rushing touchdowns in 2 years. Is that sustainable long term? Probably not, especially with Kellen Moore coming as a new offensive coordinator, which, you've seen the quarterbacks that he's played with, right? The Dak Prescott's, the Justin Herberts of the world know that those guys sling it, they throw. That's not
Exactly.
Jalen Hurts at all. And
Exactly.
I don't see Jalen Hurts suddenly turning into a guy that's going to throw for 4,500 yards overnight and pass for 35 touchdowns and all that.
You hit it. Yeah.
So I'm not high on him. But yeah, like QB5, QB6, sure, we can have a conversation, no problem, because he's going to get those rushing touchdowns more realistically, and he does get a lot with his legs. He does. That's going to save him ultimately, but I'm fading Jalen Hurts as a QB2. I'm not even worried about people adding me in the comments or going after me. Like I don't see him. I don't see this type of offense playing to his strengths. And
Yeah.
Rod, you touched on his strengths quite a bit earlier, right? When he's never really been known as a pocket passer and all that. He always plays out of the shotgun.
An RPO
And
offense.
yeah, I mean, they got Saquon Barkley for a reason, dude. Like that you can't forget that either. I know this touches on a little bit later on in the pod about the undervalued stuff, and we're going to touch on that later on. But I think ultimately this also affects the offense as a whole, especially for the pass catchers.
So, do you guys think the tush push is sustainable? Because 39 yards were gained on 15 rushing touchdowns. So, is there like on one hand you could say it's sustainable, on the other because it's so many touchdowns on so few yardage. On the other hand, it's a new OC. Nak, you said it. Kelsey's not there, and I think Kelsey seemed like he was a big proponent. He was a big factor in
Huge,
that. The way
Yeah,
huge.
he dove down, to the defensive line is another center going to want to do that. So I don't know if it's a question to you guys, like is it going to be sustainable? Because outside of the rushing, Hurts I don't think is a top 12 pure passer.
I don't think it should be sustainable. What I mean by that is that you've seen it already in the past where they've gotten to the Super Bowl with it and they've done very well with it, right? So I don't see it necessarily them over the edge and becoming that championship caliber team. I think for them to be like outside of fantasy football right now, right? If the Eagles, they want to really go far and they want to win the whole thing, they can't rely on the tush push. You can't be one dimensional like that.
Well, I mean, look, one dimensional. They're not tush pushing 5 yards, right? It's 1 yard, so it's essentially a QB sneak, right?
No,
With people pushing the pile. Again, sustainable. Like defensive coordinators are gonna figure it out, right? Like they're gonna figure out a way to have to stop this. But I think until you can stop it, they're gonna keep doing it. But it also depends on Kellen Moore. If Kellen Moore just says like "fuck it, we're not doing this anymore," then they won't.
That's what I think is going to happen. Honestly, and Fab, I know you want to go, but I really think the offensive infrastructure was so bad in Philly last year. I don't think the OC knew what he was doing,
Terrible.
so they overly relied on the tush push. And I think Hurts was hurt, and I also think because Hurts regressed as a passer, they relied on that more. Hurts is not good at throwing to running backs either. He's inaccurate throwing to running backs, and I think that's a way for them to just, hey, let's make sure we get that third down conversion. Fab, go ahead.
What I wanted to mention is that it wasn't just at the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line they were doing the tush push, right? Like they would use it multiple times during a single drive. Like it was
Yeah, for
never
sure.
that they had 4 downs to play with every single time they had the ball. Not like other teams that can, like, after 3 downs, like they got to punt it. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
but
where they were. They were like short by 2 yards, fourth down, boom, like you got a first down, no problem. It was consistent, and it was very much part of their identity. And I don't think I don't think it's sustainable. And like, sidebar, I'm not even a fan of it as for the game is concerned. Like, I know it's part of the rules, I know they do it and all that stuff. It's just so fucking boring to see a tush push like 3 times in a drive.
you just
Like,
but you sustain drives, man. Like they
I
work, right?
understand from a perspective of like productivity on the field, I get it. But like as a product of football and a fan of the game, like it's like, geez, it's like every time they see the line up in that goal line formation to
It's
get two
Madden.
fucking yards,
It's
it's
Madden.
so
Like
annoying, man. Like,
if you guys ever played Madden online, the guys who did that on me, man,
and
I would go get so
and
mad
it's such
and
like
I
a
would
Nick
rage quit.
Sirianni play too, right? Like it's such like a jerk off, like
Such a loser,
douchebag
that guy.
But
play.
it's one
Like,
of those
But
things. Like
but
if you
but
don't like it, stop it. You know, like it's one of
yeah,
those things. Like
yeah,
I'm look personally, I'm not a fan. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here, and then trying to see, like show like see the other side of it. But like look, if you want to punt on 4th and 1, then go ahead and punt. But if you think that you could gain a yard by tush pushing, like, hey man, just do it. How many other teams tried to do it and weren't as successful? Like, why were the Eagles so successful at this play? And that's where we come back to Jason Kelsey was a huge component of that
100%.
because look, not every center can manage and do what he did in order for that tush push to work so effectively.
I just have a quick question, Nat, because I believe you had Swift last year. Do you think the lack of trust with Swift is the reason why they relied on this? And to Fab's point, does Barkley being there mean there's going to be less of this? Because those, to me, if I'm drafted, if I'm someone who has that top three pick, and Hurts is in play, like I see Barkley, I'm like those. I don't think those 15 touchdowns are repeatable.
I don't think so, only because Swift did not play a lot of red zone or goal line packages. There was a lot of Gainwell that came in, a lot of Boston Scott that came in, and Kelsey mentioned this on his pod that if they were inside the 5 yard line or they dropped at the 1 or whatever, they would all come in the huddle and apologize to the running back. Sorry, dude, like you're not getting the ball. Like Swift, I had Swift last year
They
exactly,
should
and
apologize to the fantasy owners too.
yeah, well, that's it. Like, how many times
Facts.
that he fell at the 1 and didn't get in for the touchdown? And I knew like Hurts was getting that touchdown. Like there was no, so they would say they would apologize to Swift in the huddle and say like, "Oh, sorry, dude, we couldn't get you in, and now it's your touchdown's being vultured." So I don't think if they're gonna if they're continuing to do this tush push, whether it's Barkley, whether it's Swift, doesn't matter who it's gonna be. I think they're gonna tush push, and they're not gonna care if it's even if they have Barkley back there.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, for me, I'm not going to go through everything, but I was really a big fan of Hurts in the year they made the Super Bowl. Last
Yeah.
year was really disappointing as a passer. It looked like that he played like that game against the Bucs in the 2021 playoffs, his first playoff game, where he looked awful. So
Oh, dude, they were a train wreck at the
they're
end
a
of the
train
year.
wreck.
Like they were
Yeah,
unwatchable at the end of the
Yeah.
year.
totally. And last thing on the Eagles, I don't know if I was watching McAfee today. They said that Big Dom got a promotion to
Yeah,
senior advisor to the GM, chief security officer, head
Wait. Senior advisor to the What the fuck does he advise him on?
senior advisor to Harry
doesn't
Roseman.
matter. Yeah, senior
Like,
advisor.
wait, head game day coaching operations, and then the last one is the best, boss.
Yeah. So he's allowed. So
Just boss,
basically, all of these is now allowing him. He's going to be allowed to be on the sideline because he has that.
boss,
Yeah.
boss.
The fuck, man.
Apparently, he does a lot though. Apparently, players love this guy.
That's what
He's
they.
probably
Did you
great in the
see?
locker room.
Did you
He's
see
probably
the?
great in the
Did you
locker
see
room, but he's
the?
a
Darius
fucking.
Slay.
Darius Slay. It was
Yeah, I saw
Slay, bro.
Darius
The guy
Slay.
was
Yeah,
like, he came back to Philly because Dom called him and was like, "Nah, come on, come sign back with us." You know.
Does
You
anyone know what
still
he
you
sound?
still owe
Does anyone
money
know
on
what
the
he sounds
vig.
like?
Come back.
Does anyone know? Does anyone know what he sound like? Does he sound like a Tony Soprano like style Italian, or is
I
he?
don't know. I never really heard him talk
It's
actually.
it's another reason for me not to like Philadelphia. That's what it is for me.
Fab hates on American Italians. Eh? Like the Tommy DeVito is.
It's you know what it's that bullshit. It's that it's
Oh, it's
because
not
they also
bullshit.
think this is if people are listening from
Yeah, the guy doesn't
from
speak a word
across
of
the border,
Italian. That's
like
the
yeah,
worst
like
part.
it's fucking that bullshit.
They might be. I had no clue. I had no clue Nick's cousins were listening. So we might have some other some other American listeners. So
It's
tread
just
lightly. Tread lightly, or you might be
Come
swimming
at
with
me,
the
bro.
fishies. You
yeah,
might be swimming with the fishies up in the Hudson River, fam. All
yeah.
right.
Well,
This off season. This
they
off
can't even
season saw.
fucking spell Hudson River. Anyways,
All right, moving on. This offseason saw 14 teams making significant changes with new offensive coordinators or head coaches taking over play calling duties. Brian Callahan being one who new HC for the Titans, but also going to be taking over calling duties, which is heavily needed in Tennessee. So nearly half the league has a new play caller. Last year, we witnessed the considerable impact of new play callers like Bobby Slowick in Houston for C.J. Stroud and Todd Monken for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Out of all the coaching changes, which ones do you think will have the most significant impact on their fantasy teams, and which players will likely benefit the most? Fab?
yeah. So New Orleans actually changed their offensive coordinator. They went with Clint Kubiak from the 49ers. I thought that was a very interesting signing because Clint Kubiak, as you guys know, when he coached the Niners. Well, he helped coach the Niners as a passing game specialist in 2023. They went to the Super Bowl. You saw what that helped and did for Brock Purdy, and for the offense in general. Actually, you saw what it helped for what it did for Christian McCaffrey. Just the offensive weapons in general. I think really. Benefited from a lot of those play callings. I think he's going to bring a very QB friendly system over to New Orleans. Going to help Derek Carr quite a bit because he never really got off to a good footing last year, and I think it's going to ultimately help out like Chris Olave. Even sidebar into a little bit of Alvin Kamara, who I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind, who I wouldn't be surprised if he sees a resurgence next year. When I say resurgence,
Well,
last year he
he
did
had a
very
he had a
well.
huge
He
year
did
last
very
year.
well last year. It's just I think a lot of people were counting him out last year, and they proved him wrong. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are some naysayers of the same variety this year as well, because the guy's getting a little bit long in the tooth,
Let a
right? He's not
naysayer know.
I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be opposed to drafting Alvin Kamara like solidly as an RB2. I think he's going to come back with some good numbers because I wouldn't be surprised
He's going to be my RB1 again this year,
if
boys.
he's an RB1, great. That's on you. But like, I
Well,
just
he was
think he's good. He was good last year. He was very
It
good.
was my RB1 last year.
But the problem with a lot of his production last year, which I think might change now with the new offensive coordinator, was that there was a lot of dump offs that were going to
exactly
him,
the
and you
bullshit
kind of
checkdowns.
it was the 1 yard catch, the 2 yard catch, and in a PPR league, you want that. That's money because that's 17 points for 10 yards or whatever it is. But at the same time, like, this guy's coming in to sling the ball, right? So I think Derek Carr is going to be benefiting from this quite a
Well,
bit.
how many catches did McCaffrey have last year?
I want to say in the 70s off the top of my
I
head
think it was
without
in the
even think.
60s or 70s. It
Yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't
so
as high
that's
as it wasn't as high as his 2019 season, but
yeah.
still did really
well,
well.
bro. This still
No, it's still
60 to
great. It was great.
70,
Yeah, yeah, it was
60 to
great.
No,
70
I'm not.
catches for a running back is
It was
very
great.
good, right? Like
Absolutely,
he's
it's
still gonna
fantastic.
I feel like he's still gonna eat.
But
I'm
the
not
way
saying
the
he
way
won't. I'm just saying that I think this will help him even more and open it
well,
up for him a little bit more, especially for Chris Olave and even Juwan Johnson, right? Like
Juwan
you got some
Johnson looks good.
it's got
Yeah.
some very nice weapons in New Orleans, and Derek Carr. I know we all give him crap, especially Roger and myself too. Like, he's not a bad quarterback by any means, And you could have said the same thing about Brock Purdy prior to him slinging it with the Niners, and he just maybe needed the right system, and maybe this could be it. So I'm actually a little
Well,
bit more hopeful than usual.
I don't know if I'd compare him to Brock Purdy.
No, I'm not.
Brock Purdy, I think.
I'm not comparing him to Brock Purdy in the sense of that. Like, no, like Brock Purdy is fantastic. I'm just saying that you can see a similar sort of
He can
opportunity for
operate an
Derek
offense.
Carr. Yeah.
He can operate an offense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Carr. I just not a I, like I for me he's very average as a quarterback. He's your serviceable guy who deserves to start on an NFL team.
hmm
But the guy to take you there to the promised land, I don't think he's him.
Listen, Kubiak worked with a lot of great offenses.
Well,
Denver Broncos,
we're also forgetting that
Vikings.
his dad was Gary Kubiak.
Thank you. Yeah, like there's a lot of pedigree with this kid, right? Like, and he was actually highly touted
Well,
and highly sought after too in the offseason by a lot of teams. Like, it wasn't just in New Orleans that were going after him.
yeah.
So I think more likely than not, this will benefit New Orleans quite a bit. So I think it's something to take note of as well, especially when training camp comes around. You actually understand, see how things are rolling and all that stuff. And I think it's something to take note of. And also, like, low key, in my opinion, passed under the radar a little bit too. No one's really been talking about this. I think it's a pretty good addition.
If I could just interject quickly, like Kubiak offense, so that's McVay offense, so it's a ton of play action, which
Yep.
that's what Carr needs. He needs like predetermined reads, predetermined outlets, like you know where the football is gonna go.
He's just got to
Right,
get rid of it.
he's gonna get rid of it, but not just to the check down. Hopefully to Jawan Johnson and to Olave. So
I think his problem is not getting rid of it, but he
he's
locks
scared.
onto the
He's scared.
receiver and then just takes way too, like he's open and he just takes way too long to throw it to that
Yeah,
receiver. And he could be
I
open, but
agree,
by the
Nak.
time he throws it, he's
I
not
agree,
open
Nak.
anymore.
He's one of the worst QBs
Yeah.
under pressure. One of the
Mhm.
worst QBs. Just I need to dump it off. I will not stick in the pocket. I'm gonna dump
Yeah.
it off. Very frustrating to watch. Nak, who's your key coach that will have an impact from a fantasy perspective this year?
Yeah. So I went with Dave Canales, Carolina Panthers.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah, that
I
I
love it.
think he has a really good track record with developing QBs, especially ones that look like their careers were kind of headed south and kind of rejuvenate them. The two that obviously come to mind is Geno Smith, who won Comeback Player of the Year in 2022 with the Seahawks, and then there's also Baker Mayfield, who was a finalist last year. That was his pass game coordinator. So Gino had less expectations than let's say Mayfield coming in, being drafted in the second round. But his first 2 years with the Jets, he was really bad. Really, it was a train wreck over
Mm-hmm.
there. Then he spent time as a backup with the Giants, as you both know, also with
Yep.
the Chargers, and then before getting a shot with Canales as his
Why are you rolling your
Q,
eyes, Fab?
Because
QB
he broke
coach.
he broke Eli Manning's streak. That's why. I know it wasn't him
It's
specifically.
not
It was
his
Ben
fault.
McAdoo at the
Oh my
time. But
god!
like that's why I'm rolling my eyes because it's like it sucks. It's
So, so
I'm
I
an Eli
wouldn't.
Manning
is
fan.
your
It
middle
sucks.
name Pete or?
I would still take
No, but I can
Geno
still root
Smith
for
right
Eli
now.
Manning
I would
regardless of
still.
that.
Well,
I would
okay,
still
but
take.
I'm
you
not
can't.
knocking Geno Smith. I'm rooting for the guy. I hope he does well. But it's
Man, that
unfortunate.
was
That's
like
all.
25 years ago, bro. Get over it.
It was 10 years ago. I'm never getting over it.
Anyways, he did spend time as a backup with the Giants and he ruined Eli Manning's streak. Before getting
Thank
a
you.
shot, like I said, with Canales, who was his QB coach and passing game coordinator in Seattle, he completely turned it around. Like I said, he won Comeback Player of the Year. And then with Baker Mayfield, it was kind of the same thing. You know, he struggled in Cleveland, first overall pick, went to Carolina, then he was with the Rams for 2 minutes, and then kind of then got a shot with Tampa, and Canales was his OC. So when he went on to have the best season of his career, right?
Mm.
Got paid. He won a playoff game. Like he rejuvenated him. So now he gets a chance with another former first overall pick who did in fact struggle his first season as well in Bryce Young. Look, granted he's only in year two, and these guys were kind of more seasoned veterans at the point of the career where he took them over. But I think his track record is solid with two guys that kind of, like I said, their careers are going south, rejuvenated them and brought them back to life. So I think if there's a person in the league that could jumpstart Bryce Young, not only from a football standpoint, but also a fantasy standpoint where he could be pushed for those QB2 numbers this year, I think this is the best shot that he's got. Like this is a gift for Bryce Young.
Yeah, and they improved the weaponry, right? Deontay
100%.
Johnson,
100%.
Leggett, Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah.
We've talked about the Panthers quite a bit. Actually, we've been a very
Yeah.
Panthers friendly podcast. They've improved the guard play as well. So everything about the Canales hire is, as you said, not fix Bryce Young. Like
Mhm.
fix Bryce Young, do better than what we did last year. Did you guys hear about Canales? Apparently he wrote a book. It's like a tell-all book about how admitting like basically he was cheating on his wife like crazy amounts, and like he
Really?
admitted it all in his, but yeah, like I think he was like a sex addict. Like it's crazy. Like
I
Well,
mean, good for him for coming clean and
yeah,
I guess
we
writing
yeah.
don't we
about
don't
it.
judge on this podcast, right? So
We
it's
absolutely, except unless your name is Deshaun Watson, but
well,
interesting.
that's not judging. That's just stating facts. That's all. No, am I wrong? You tell me that I'm wrong. You tell me that I'm wrong.
No, you're not. No, you're not wrong. But yeah, I agree with the Canales pick. It'll be
They
interesting to see.
also they also today I saw that they are bringing in Hakeem Butler from the UFL for a tryout. He was the offensive player of the year.
Yeah, Yeah,
So they bring
yeah.
he's actually spent time with the Steelers practice squad a bit. He
Was
played, I
that
think.
the guy that Wade Phillips was saying, "Hey, like you need to be in the NFL"? Like they were talking about
Mm,
him.
not
I
sure.
mean, good for you for leaning into the UFL. I was actually thinking about the UFL the other day. Like, when is it even finished? But
It's
uh,
I think it's done.
it's done. And who won? Who
I'm
won
not,
the?
no, I have no idea. I just heard about this guy
Uh,
who was I remember his name because it was familiar with the Steelers. Like I remember he was on the roster and then signed with I think Seattle over there. I don't know. I don't remember what the team name was, but found it interesting. Like we said, they're adding weapons. They're going
yeah,
possibly after
they have
another
to
wide receiver to throw in the room too. So
for sure.
I think they're moving in the right direction. And look, Canales is probably the guy to help kickstart that.
Hopefully. For me, it's Ryan Grubb. He was the offensive coordinator for the Huskies last year. They had the record-breaking year in the Pac-12. Michael Penix was the QB there. Over 5,100 yards, 369 passing yards per game. They had Roma Dunze, they had Jalen Polk, they had Jalen McMillan. Two out of those three guys were 1,000-yard receivers. Both of them, Odunze and Polk, were drafted into the NFL. I'm not sure if McMillan was able to find a team or if he's even an underclassman. But I love the fact that they were able to utilize a big time downfield passing game. Three wide receivers were able to be utilized. We know DK Metcalf, JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Tyler Lockett are three guys who can break a game at any given point. And I think this has a big impact on a DK Metcalf. Similar type of big wide receiver, fast, can beat you downfield. And Geno Smith that year, where he was comeback player of the year, as you mentioned, Knack, he was slinging the ball downfield.
Oh yeah.
And I think this move can potentially get DK Metcalf back to his 2020 season, where he was a second team All Pro. I believe he was close to 90 catches, 1,300 yards, something like 15 touchdowns. So I'm really buying that move. Seattle guy, or at least played with the Huskies in Washington, going back to Seattle, some familiarity there. And I read some really good stuff about how he utilizes the run game, inside zone, outside zone, a lot of different types of run blocking schemes. So it's not just going to be a full on air raid offense. So and I've mentioned it to you guys. I really like Kenneth Walker this year
Yeah,
as a value pick, which maybe we'll talk about some value picks after. But for me, it's Ryan Grubb and Gino is I know there's been some stuff like Sam Howell. I think Gino is firmly entrenched as a starter
No,
there,
no, that's
and
Howell's
hundred
not beating
percent,
him out.
and
hundred
and
percent.
and as long as they improve the offensive line, I think he's in for a really solid year. And he could be another good value guy.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker, you just gotta hope. Like you gotta
Healthy.
know that he's gonna miss a couple games here and there, right? You gotta live with the couple injury games. But yeah, I think I agree with everything you just said.
Easy. Nice. So for the last segment, we're going to do a little game of overvalued players based on their pre-draft ranking / ADP. So we're going to do QBs, right, running backs, and pass catchers. We'll each choose one player from those positions and what their pre-draft ranking is, and who are 3 to 5 players we'll pick instead of them. So Knack, start us off with who's your overvalued QB.
Yeah. So taking a look today, and my overvalued QB is Jaden Daniels at 11. So I don't know. I understand potential and running quarterback and blah 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 blah, but rookie quarterbacks struggle more often than not, right? CJ Stroud's season last year was, the asterisks of the bunch. I don't think there's many QBs that come in and just completely dominate to the point where he's being drafted as a top 11 quarterback. Um,
Or as an MVP candidate, which CJ Stroud was. At some point, he was an MVP candidate.
At one point, he was.
Yeah.
Before the injury,
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
was, and like that is so few and far between. Like that does not happen often, and now to make it happen 2 years in a row, I don't know. I don't see it. I'm taking guys like Goff, who's at 17 before him. I'm taking Cousins, who's rated 18 before him, and I'm taking Rogers, who's at 20 before Jaden Daniels. Like I just think these guys are just proven. Look, Cousins was on MVP race last year before he got hurt. He was slinging it all over the place. You can't say his weapons decreased too too much, right? Okay, JJ after JJ Justin Jefferson, but his weaponry is still pretty good in Atlanta. And like Goff, that offense is completely electrifying. Like, why wouldn't you get the sure thing and go off and go with Jaden Daniels. I just 2 QB league, like there's no way I'm going 11.
The running upside doesn't intrigue you at all.
I don't know, 100% it does. That's why I said it's like I understand he has the running upside and it's going to help him propel him in the rankings, but it's just rookie QBs do not do great. Like even if he has, let's say, give him 700 yards as a rookie. Like, do you see him throwing for another 3,500? I don't. Like to make that ranking make sense. How many rushing touchdowns could he possibly have? A
Yeah,
handful,
I think
five,
Yeah,
six,
I think for
maybe.
me it's
Like
the staying healthy, like the
yeah,
way he takes
there's that
hits
too,
and
right? Like
he
it's
doesn't protect himself. Like
and he's not a big guy either.
he's not a big
no,
guy, very slender.
no.
No,
I think the flashy names this year are getting a lot of bump in rankings. I think people are just kind of intrigued with the flash because I think even Caleb is right behind him or something. So it's
Caleb, yeah,
like I get it,
yeah,
man. Like I get it. These guys are going to be good, but like people, generational talents like Peyton Manning. Like how many interceptions did he have his first year? Like
28.
yeah.
QBs struggle year one. Like it's just a
Mhm.
known thing, and defensive coordinators make your life hell. So I don't know. 11 is just it's too high for me. I'd rather take those
And,
other
and he
two for
plays in a
sure.
very tough division, like defense wise as well, right? I mean, you got the Philadelphia Eagles defense is pretty good. The Giants really short up their defensive line as well. Dallas is
Cowboys
always
too, yeah.
tough. It's like it's not an easy it's not an easy division to play in either. So no, I don't disagree with you. 11 is a little bit too rich for my blood too, especially when you guys have like Brock Purdy at 14 that no one's talking about again. Like the guy fished QB6 last year.
That's another one I'll take before him.
Like Jaden Downs is nice if you're chasing the upside, sure, 100%. But at the same time, it's like you got to get ready to, you got to have a pretty deep QB room, especially when you're starting two QBs like we
yeah,
are.
exactly.
And if
That's the
Jaden Daniels
thing.
is going in and he's your QB1 in a two
Yeah,
QB league, like
risky,
Nah,
you're
no bueno.
you're
risky.
scared.
No
I'm scared.
bueno.
I got concerns. I got concerns. Yeah.
Fab, who is it for you for at the QB position?
I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this, so just like FYI, I know I have a lot of hot takes and all that. Lamar Jackson,
Whoa,
Wow.
what?
Whoa.
and that's only where he's being drafted relative to what happened in the offseason, relative to how I think he might finish. And that doesn't mean I don't think he's going to finish as a top 10 quarterback. I think he will. He's going as QB4 right now. I would rather take a CJ Stroud or a Jordan Love or Joe Burrow or Dak Prescott at that spot.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
if you
That's
look at
wild. That's
yeah,
wild.
because Lamar Jackson, again, coming back MVP candidate and all that stuff, MVP season, I get it. You look at how he lost a little bit of weapons in the offseason with Odell not being there. Who's his wide receiver one?
Oh, guys,
I'm
seriously,
just
we said
hold on
Are
a
you
second.
kidding?
Odell had no
Hold on a
impact.
second. Hold on a second. I'm just saying it's what it's like. You got Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman is still there. You got to hope that the tight end is healthy the whole season. And then you put in Derrick Henry, who will affect the running game for Lamar Jackson. Who we talk about Jaden Daniels, how like all of his stats and the running game and all that stuff. Like Lamar Jackson, where do his stats come from? The guy last year he threw for the most amount of yards he's ever thrown for, which is 3,500 last year, and he had a great season, MVP caliber season. Not taking away from that at all, but do we
I,
expect to
I
see
still
him
think
out
we
of?
should, I still think he shouldn't have won the MVP, but
That's a different conversation for that's real football talk. That's all good. I'm just at 4 for me. He's not my guy at 4. I'm again like I'm not moving him down to like 11 or 12 here. I'm just like moving down a few pegs. Want to keep the pot honest here, And I think he's going to lose out on the touchdown regression too, especially at the goal line and all that stuff. It's going to go Derrick Henry.
Burrow though, really
No,
Burrow?
no, you can't say that because Gus. How many touchdowns did Gus
I'm
Edwards
just
have?
saying
I
it's
feel
going to
like
affect
12.
him. I'm
But
just
he had
saying it's going to
it
affect him.
didn't. But it didn't affect him. It didn't affect him when Edwards had like 10, 12
They've
touchdowns last
always
year.
been high rushing
100%.
team, man.
You're
They've
right.
always been a
Not
rush
disagreeing with
first
you on
team.
that. I just don't think he's going to be able to repeat the same numbers. I don't think he's going to fish as a QB4.
So what
My
number are you
take.
putting him? We're putting him. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. And we're
Like QB7. Again, I'm not knocking him down like completely here. I like Jordan Love better. I like
okay.
Dak Prescott better. I like and not Anthony Rich. I like CJ Stroud better and all those guys. Like I do.
I
Like I
definitely don't
think
like Dak or Burrow, but I don't want those two. I can't agree with you. Love, you're like maybe because he's gonna if he
Dak is
throws
gonna
another
eat this
35
year,
to
man.
40,
Dak is gonna
but
eat
Dak
this year.
lost power
Dak's
there.
gonna
Like
eat this year.
I don't think so.
Dak's gonna
So
eat this year. Dak
so my
finished actually as a QB4 last year.
So my guy, who I think, well, for sure, both the guys you mentioned, I'll take easily before my guy is Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence, and even at QB 11 is overvalued. If you think about the fact that he lost Calvin Ridley, yes, they gained Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas, but they both do the same things, right? And for me, Trevor Lawrence, he's almost like a better real life QB than fantasy QB, and I think he gets dinged a lot because of the offense he's in. I don't think obviously Urban Meyer did great things with him. Haven't been really impressed with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, and I still feel there's just meat on the bone with Trevor Lawrence. There's still that extra step that he has to take. I'm fine with him as a high end QB2, but if he's QB 11, that means he's borderline my QB1, the first QB I take. And for me, there's no chance. I'm taking Brock. I'm at 14. Herbert somehow is 15th in these Yahoo rankings, which makes absolutely no sense. Tua is 16th. Goff is 17th. Even
Yeah,
Stafford at
yeah,
22.
I know. I don't
Stafford at
get
22,
that.
I'm taking, and
I don't
even
get
Gino
it.
and Rogers. So for me, Lawrence, there's just too much risk. The weapons have not improved enough. The offensive infrastructure is not impressive enough for me either. And I need to see it before I believe it with Lawrence. And I think it can be a big year because I believe it's the 5th year option year. He's due for a big contract.
No, no. He this is going to be his fourth year.
It's 4th year,
So
excuse me. It's
so
fourth
they
year. Yeah,
picked up his
they
option. So
picked
he
up the
has two. He
option.
has 2 more years there.
Yeah, exactly. But he's due for a big contract. So let's see. But I'm not like if I get him at a value pick as like a QB low end QB2, fine. But
Yeah, I don't
Fab.
disagree with anything you said. You said there's still meat on the bone. I don't even think there's any more meat on the bone. I think we've seen what we had to see. I think he has a lot of offensive weapons around him. I think he's in a good offensive system for him. He's
I forgot Evan Ingram, of course, but
guy, yeah, like he killed it last year. I mean, the guy, and he has Travis Etienne in the backfield. Plus, they added what's the other running back? He's escaping me his name. Um,
Tank.
yes, Tank Bigsby. Like he has weapons around him. Like he hasn't put it together yet because maybe he is who he is at this point. I agree with everything that you said about him. He's rated as QB 12. QB 12, like for me, I'm not going in there either with him as my QB1. He's a high end QB2. Wonderful, fantastic, but similar to Jane Daniels and all that, like I'm not super pumped about it at that spot.
Yeah,
Um,
Brock, and I will end there, but Brock and Herbert, to me, like they had, sorry, not Herbert, but Brock and Tua basically had QB1 production last year.
yeah,
Like yardage, whether it's yardage or touchdowns, like they had Goff to basically
yeah,
had QB1
yeah.
production. So
Tua slowed down towards the end of the season, but for the majority of the season, I think season rankings he finished QB 12, which is like right on the cusp of
yeah,
QB1.
yeah,
So yeah, 100%. Don't
yeah.
disagree with you on that.
Moving on to running back, Fab, who is your overvalued running back for 2024?
This one's tough because he's my guy, but like Kyron Williams, and again, it's overvalued based on ranking. I do like him as a prospect and as a player, but right now going for RB 8, I have my concerns with him just simply for the injury issues, simply for what they did by adding Blake Corum. I know in the Sean McVay offense, like running backs eat. But I still have my trepidations towards him just because I don't know if that level of production is again sustainable, and with the additional weapons that they added too, I don't think they're convinced of it either. So if as right around there QB 8, like I'm much higher on Derrick Henry. We spoke about him just earlier now with all the touchdowns coming in and everything like that. The guy, I've been hearing rumors about other people talking about how the guy can push for easy like 15 touchdowns, and like it's not even like oh my god, it's like 15 touchdowns is very much in the realm of possibility for Derrick Henry, which makes me a lot more excited for him than it would be for
No
Kyron
way.
Williams. Yeah.
No
Travis Etienne
chance.
too. Josh Jacobs is
Oh
right
man,
around there.
Etienne, I don't think so. I think Bigsby is taking way more carries. Etienne was really inefficient last year, and I had him, and I followed a lot of his games, and really inefficient, especially in short yardage. So I'd be interested to see that one.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point too. And then you have Rashad White as well, or Rashad White as
Yeah,
well, right around that spot.
super
So
underrated.
it's the injury concerns for me with Kyron Williams and the fact that they had a Blake Corum in that off in the backfield who out of Oregon played really well. So I don't think they just added him there just to fill space. He's going to take on a role at some point.
Michigan.
No,
Excuse me,
Corman was
Michigan.
Michigan.
Sorry, yeah, I mixed that up. So again, I as a QB 8, I'm looking elsewhere at that spot.
Go blue.
Yeah, thank
Go
you.
blue.
Go blue. Nak, I'm assuming you're going to say Najee Harris.
No, I don't even know where he's ranked. He's probably ranked really low, but I honestly think he's probably gonna have a good year. But I digress. No, my pick is Devon Achan, who's ranked sixth
Ooh.
right now.
Ooh, I want to
Sixth,
hear this
running
one.
back six. That is crazy.
That's ridiculous.
First of all, there is way too many mouths to feed in that backfield, in that offense as a whole, but even in the backfield. Look, we know that Mostert isn't scoring 20 touchdowns this year. Like you can bet on that if you'd like. There's no way he's gonna replicate what he did last year, but he's also not gonna go away either, right? Like I still think he's the starter. Um, and if not, he's gonna eat into Achan's workload. I know he's explosive. I know he's good, but he's also injury prone too, right? He missed a lot of time in his rookie year, right? And then they also drafted Jalen Wright. Like they drafted another running back who's gonna push for some snaps too, right? He's gonna take away from some of it. Maybe not at the beginning of the year, but oh, six running back six. I have Saquon right after him at seven that I'll take before Achan. Josh Jacobs, who I've repeatedly said that um, could be your RB1 this year. I'm taking way before him, who's rated 12. And as Fab said just before, Rashad White as well at 10. I'll go way. I'll take my chances with them way before I go HN at 6. For me. That is insane that he's rated that high.
There's a lot of guys you could take before HN, considering that
The list is so
they
long.
would own the
Mm.
backfield. The
Uh,
Devils
that's
ad,
sorry. That was my last point. Is that these guys here command their
yeah.
backfields.
The the flip side, Knack, is the 6 yards per attempt. I think the conversation is similar to the one we had with Hurts. Is how sustainable is that motion running offense?
Hmm.
Like how like are they gonna run? Are they gonna have another 80 burger against some team like where HN? I think he had like almost 200
Five.
yards, right?
He
Like
had 5 TDs
he
that
had
game
five.
too.
Like so that's a good point, right? Like there's some of these like really high variance guys who basically they like if you could spread out those types of games in 4 games, it'd be great. But to get them all in one, and then afterwards you see how they do. It's interesting. But I think I agree with you. Like I tend lately to move away from running backs who either don't command the backfield
Mm.
or in another case don't play on third downs, which is a segue towards my overvalued guy, Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry, I had him last year in one of my leagues. Love Derrick Henry. Love having him when he has a big game. It's really fun, right? But the 30 cliff for running backs is very scary. Also the fact he was 18th in snaps played in 2023. 18th. He was never on the field on third downs. Never. And the same thing will happen depending on how Mitchell is progressing from a health standpoint. Not sure who they have also on running back on the team, but Derrick Henry never plays on third downs. He had 20 catches last year overall in a PPR. That's really tough. Standard league, no problem, but PPR, I can't really touch him.
Where's he ranked?
Good, yeah, 11th in PPR.
Yeah,
I
that's too
I
high,
I
man.
I find that
That's too
high.
high.
I would
That's
take
again, that's borderline RB1, right? Like we keep saying, that borderline RB1, and he doesn't command or gonna play on third down. Like that's what you want from
never.
your RB1?
That
No
that
chance.
that scares me. That scares me so much.
I
Fabio,
agree.
what's up?
Just to play counterpoint to that, because I'm a little bit higher on Derrick Henry than you are for some of the points I just mentioned. So we talk about commanding the backfield. There's Derrick Henry in there. There's Justice Hill. There's Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell is still injured from that nasty ACL MCL tear that happened to him last year. So we talk about who's going to be there on third down. I get all that, what happened and what you guys are saying. I don't disagree. I still reserve a little bit more optimism just because I feel like for commanding the running back room that he does, he's going to be there. I think he's going to be there a little more often than not, and I think I'm he's going to be there on the red zone plays. He's going to be there on the goal line plays. Um, anyways, I don't want to counterpoint this
PPR.
too much there.
You know who's going to be the third
PPR.
down
PPR,
back?
fine. PPR, no
It's
problem.
You know who's
PPR.
going to be
It's
the
like
third down back?
Yeah,
Lamar
Lamar
Jackson.
Jackson. Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's going to eat on third down because they're not going to pass Derrick Henry, and if Mitchell, to your point, is still injured, and Justice Hill is kind of just a jag, I think just
Because
the guy.
they depleted the running back room last year. Like every single running back got injured, but J.K. Dobbins is now gone.
Gus
Gus
Edwards
the
is
Bus is
gone.
now
Yeah.
gone. Keaton Mitchell is who I guess they want to be the scat back in the background there, but he's still nursing a pretty horrible injury. So you wonder, like, and again, this is still very early on. We have to see
There's a
exactly how much
lot of
training
thread on
camps.
those tires,
A lot
man.
of threat.
I
Yeah.
don't disagree, but
Just
the
segue to
man
that.
is the man. He is in a class of his own though a little bit too, right?
Key stat. I saw on ESPN. Running backs on their age 30 season have a 25% decline in PPR when they go from age 29
For
to
sure,
30.
man. For sure.
100%.
And like
Running
he's
backs
going
actually
on a
start to decline as of 27 years old.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at analytics
As
on
of
peak
27
seasons.
years old,
Like a
and there
lot of
are those outliers that exist. And I'm just
all those
saying, Derrick
outliers
Henry
for
has
the
already proven everybody wrong.
yeah, all those outliers for running backs age 30. The last one who had a epic season was Tiki Barber. He had like 1,800 yards. Our Tiki Barber fab. So
Yeah, I know.
So, anyways, just quickly, I would take Jacobs at 12, Kamara at 14. I'd take even Ramondre Stevenson, who I think has a bounce back year, at 17. KW3, Aaron Jones, even James Cook. I know that's a lot. James Cook at 13. There's a lot of guys, but I'm very wary of taking a running back who's 30
you
who
need to
doesn't play on
take.
third down
Yeah, and PPR, man.
and
PPR
PPR.
just says it all. He had 20
So
catches
20
last year.
catches.
What
Yeah.
did he finish last year anyways? Do we have that? What
Uh,
running back he finished?
I don't.
Was
I
he in
can
the
get it.
top
Give me.
10?
I'm pulling it up. I'm giving it up. I'm pulling it up. Give me a second.
Go
Was he top 10?
journalism, baby.
I don't know if he was top
He
10.
was top 10. He finished number 10. He finished 10th.
There you go. So he finished 10th in a non-regressing year, not playing third down, and now I feel like he's going to get he's going to be less. He's going to be good in red zone, but they're also I feel like they're going to use him a lot as a decoy. I think Lamar is the biggest benefactor of the Henry signing.
They're gonna want to save him for the playoffs as well. They're not
That
gonna
too,
want to.
yeah.
They're not gonna want to.
Yeah.
They're gonna put him on a pitch count. Let's move on to pass catchers. So we figured for this one it's either tight ends or wide receivers. So Nak, who's your overvalued pass catcher?
Well, this one's gonna be an eyesore to some people. AJ Brown is mine. Who's ranked number 7 right now. A lot of
What
people are
is wrong
not
with
gonna
you guys
be.
today?
What do you mean?
No,
What's
I
wrong with us?
agree.
We
I
just
AJ
agree with this
Brown.
call. I saw this
didn't we
call. I saw this call, and I was pissed because I wanted it. I saw this call, and I was pissed because I wanted it. I
didn't we
agree.
just wait, Roger? What's wrong
AJ
with us?
Brown.
But didn't we just discuss how Hertz is not going to be in a good. He's not going to be able to
Nak,
sling it. He's not in the
you could
offense for it.
you
He's
could
not in
throw
the.
to AJ Brown 5 yards and he'll take it to the house. Like
Yeah,
you don't need an
yeah.
accurate QB to throw to AJ Brown.
Okay. Well, look, we spoke about Jalen Hurts struggling as a pass catcher. Like that was the first thing we spoke about, right? Like I think that is going to directly impact his wide receivers, right? Like if he's not being effective as a pass catcher, his INTs went up. Like we said last year, they doubled last year, so he's got to improve there. They also just got Saquon Barkley, which tells me they paid Saquon Barkley also. They didn't just sign Saquon Barkley, they paid a running back. They are going to use Saquon Barkley. They're going to run a lot more than in previous years. And he's also a great pass catcher. So that's also, I understand that he's not, remember we said Hurts doesn't throw very well to his pass catchers. I think it's gonna work. Saquon Barkley is more of the best running back they've had there in a minute, right? I just think top 7, man. I'd rather roll the dice with Garrett Wilson. I'll take Garrett Wilson, who's right behind him at 8. I'll take a stab at Marvin Harrison Jr. before I
What?
go. Oh yes, I will take a stab at Marvin Harrison Jr. and Nico Collins as well, who I think is gonna explode this year. I think Nico Collins has top 5 potential this year in the NFL.
Knack, AJ Brown's a set it and forget it WR1. I love Nico, but and Marvin is gonna be great, but those aren't set it and forget it WR1s that you just leave there. That like you never move, like you never
Look,
question
Marvin
AJ Brown.
Harrison is the freak. And what did Chase do his first year? What did Justin Jefferson do his first year? Those top wide receivers off the board, like those guys balled. They didn't just. So I think Harrison pushes, and Garrett Wilson. I'm dying to see this guy with a competent QB. This guy is going to explode if Rodgers can stay healthy for 17 games. Garrett Wilson will have a better year than AJ Brown. You heard it here first.
Fab, do you have a rebuttal to that madness, or are you gonna
Yeah,
or an agreement?
I know I have a rebuttal. Nak, I fully agree with you actually. No, and it's not and this has nothing to do with AJ Brown because Roger, I agree with you. AJ Brown is a dog. I loved him when he was
He
playing for
is. He
Tennessee, and he's
is.
a fucking animal. And I really like him as a player. I think this speaks more to the faults that exist with Jalen Hurts that we've spoken about earlier before. And again, he's wide receiver 7 coming off the board right now. I'm not knocking him down to like wide receiver 15 or something. I just feel like he's gonna be not a he's not going to give you consistent wide receiver numbers every week in week out like you would expect from other guys that were drafting as wide receiver 1, simply because of the fact of who's throwing to him and what that offense is right now. And this also sidebar, this knocks down a peg for Devontae Smith for me too, but that's a different conversation. I'm agreeing with Knack. I would take Garrett Wilson over him. I would take Marvin Harrison over him. The
Well, so
Crystal Lot.
The Marvin Harrison, that means you guys trust Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts,
Yes.
Yeah,
based off.
based off his based off what Kellen Moore has already done and sustaining top tier wide receivers as well in a pretty good offense. He's done that with DeAndre Hopkins. He's done that with, to a degree, Christian
Jalen
Kirk.
Hurts has done that too. I'm not a big fan of Jalen Hurts, but
Jalen Hurts has done it year.
How do we?
To be fair,
how many times has Kyler Murray done it, and he can't even stay healthy? I'll give you guys
Well,
Nico.
we're not talking about the health aspect of it, right?
Well, health is not. It's a factor too. If Kyler Murray isn't there, who's the backup?
Yeah, but you can say that about any quarterback, though. That's a different conversation.
they is it Atlanta's old guy that went there, Ritter? I think it's Ritter.
I'm just not personally, and I agree with Knack on this. I'm not that high on AJ Brown as I would be in past years, just because of what the expectation is right now of Jalen Hurts in that offense.
I feel like it's not as sexy as a pick at 7.
Man.
I'm not knocking the guy. He balls.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I think with Jalen Hurts, I think
if I get AJ Brown like late second or my God,
If you get AJ Brown at 7, are you drafting him?
But you will get end second, 100%.
Roger, stop right now. AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson. AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson. The top 6 are gone that we just spoke about. AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson.
I'm gonna take AJ Brown. I'm gonna take AJ Brown.
That's fair.
That's fair.
I'm not saying it is kind of a toss up. I'm not like it's not huge, but again, I want to go with the. I think there's more
meat on the bone.
Upside. There's more upside with Harrison and Collins. I think for me,
Wilson and Brown is fine. Like Collins and Harrison is that's a tough one for me. Fab pass catch, overvalued pass catcher for you.
Christian Kirk, again, we're running a little bit out of time here, so I want to go quickly. It goes back to a lot of things we said about
sandbagging. You're sandbagging with Christian.
Why am I sandbagging? I had that since the beginning.
He's mad anyways.
Calvin Ridley's gone. More targets open up. Gabe Davis came in right now.
You just wanted to shit on Calvin Ridley because you hate him so much.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would take Calvin Ridley over Christian Kirk. That's how much I don't hate Calvin Ridley. He's just going he's wide receiver 26. Like George Pickens is right there. Give me George Pickens. Like give me Tank Dell. Give me Keenan Allen instead of Christian Kirk at that spot. That's more of where I'm speaking of right now. Also, Brian Thomas Jr. is going like a few spots behind him. I think they like him a lot in that offense. He's going to be featured quite a bit.
I'll take Kirk
you're drafting
Thomas. I'll take Kirk before Thomas. No.
I mean, ideally, if Kirk and Thomas are both there at the same time, hopefully I'm very far deep in the draft, and then I will take a flyer on Thomas. But if I was like stuck there, like as a wide receiver 3, no, I mean,
I think he's getting it because look, he's the one there, right? Like that's why his rankings shoot up a little bit more when you're the one. But I agree with Pickens. Pickens is behind him.
Yeah, I don't like that either. And even Terry McLaurin. Roger, calm down. Terry McLaurin is there at like wide receiver 33, and we've all
that's weird.
That's low, man.
He puts up serious numbers every single year, regardless of what the situation is.
If I could get Terry McLaurin as a WR3, like
that's even pushing WR4. That's pushing WR4.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, like I'll everything aside, like I'll take him. So okay, Christian Kirk. I mean, I still think it's sandbagging Fab because Kirk is just meh. But anyways,
Roger, I don't really care what you say to me right now.
For me, Deebo Samuel, so WR24 range. He had 8 games where he was under 10 fantasy points per game. Like he had some duds. He had some like 6 points per game. He had one where I think he had like 2 points per game. But he's as high, and we talk a lot about high variance today. He's as high variance a player as they come. You're banking on those 30-point games that he's had twice, but the consistency is just not there. He's always getting injured. Like,
Yeah.
he's going to get injured. The way his running style, they hand off the ball to him a lot. So for him, I would take Amari Cooper at 25 easily. I'd take Zay Flowers at 28. I'd even take Deontay Johnson at 38. Jaden Reed at 39.
Okay, question for you though.
Yeah.
If they trade Ayuk, does your answer change?
As in, okay, so
If Ayuk is gone, if look, they're not.
no, because I don't trust him as a route runner, Knack. Like I find if they trade Ayuk, if anything, I think he
It's Ladd
probably
McConkey or whatever. Who are the guys they draft?
No,
Ricky
Purcell.
Purcell.
Ricky
I think
Purcell, excuse me.
I think he goes a little bit higher, but he's not like a typical route runner. He's like a very gimmicky player.
Yeah, because they keep saying that they keep saying there's no way they go into the season with those 4 wide receivers this year. They're definitely trading either Debo or Ayuk after signing. They signed Jawan Jennings. They drafted Purcell. Debo signed for a couple more years. They said that
it feels
one
like
of them
it's
is
Ayuk.
because I think they've offered him. Ayuk wants 30, and they offered him 26. So
I think it's like if anything, Christian McCaffrey his value goes up even a little bit higher because there's no other competition there. Knack, did you want to say something about Debo?
No, that was it. That was what I wanted to
sorry,
mention.
Fab. Sorry, Fab. Did you want to?
No, I don't disagree. I mean, the 24 is kind of high for me too, but I wouldn't peg him that much further down, though. To be honest with you, like I think as a low end wide receiver 2 is where he should be. But I agree with the variance would bother me, and the fact that I feel like the Debo train is like slowing down a little bit. Like it's so
one really good pass catching year. Like I think he was like a first or second team All Pro, and then there hasn't been much there.
Yeah, I think it's been a lot of wear and tear on that body. Yep.
Amazing. So we have giveaway time. So we have our beautiful, again, Tom Brady with the Bucs Funko. We'll put that
jersey.
picture there. White jersey.
White.
With
it's the Darren Pang way.
Indeed.
Jeez.
I'm gonna test out this drum roll here. Okay, no, that's
maybe not.
No, that's not. No, that's not. That's not the drum roll I wanted.
Would it be a milestone episode without some fuck ups now, wouldn't it?
Here.
Done. And the winner is Robbie Scalise. Congrats, Robbie Scalise. You'll be contacted to claim your prize very shortly. We'll get your shipping information, and we'll be sending this to you express very shortly. So thank you for everyone who participated. Thank you for the guys at Electric Avenue. Go check them out. They're on Monkland. Very nice dudes. They have a ton of great Funkos. They have a lot of really cool collectibles and cars. So thank you guys for that again. It was really fun, and we'll be sure to do more giveaways in the future. And on that note, that concludes episode 10. Again, thank you so much, everyone who's taken the time to listen to us. We are nothing without all of our loyal listeners. And again, our commitment is to continue doing this because we're having a blast, and we all love football. So, as always, you can follow us at the Bush League Huddle on Instagram, on Spotify, on YouTube, and we'll see you again next time. Bye, guys.
Peace.